And I'm going to jump into now a story about play and about soul loss, so you get a really good understanding of what soul loss looks like, because story is really the best way to know and helps us relate really well. So let's envision a young girl and her sister, and they are at a vacation home, a cabin with their family that's surrounded by woods. They're young, like this girl here, and they have the opportunity, some free time, to sneak out into the woods and go play. And before you know it, they are sucked further and further into the magic of the woods. They find a stream, they're finding beautiful stones in the stream and playing, and they're finding flowers to look at, and the day goes slowly by and they don't notice it at all. Meanwhile, they have two loving parents back at home, back at the vacation home, who are in a strange place, knowing that their children might not know how to get back home, and who are quite frantic about where they might be. And as the day goes by, they get more and more frantic. So at this point, they've called the police and gotten the police involved. They've walked up and down the neighborhood. They've tried walking around in the woods and calling for their girls, and they're desperate at this point and a little bit embarrassed as well, because here they are, they look like not very competent parents at this point. They can't find two little girls. And the end of the day comes and they start to get hungry, the girls, and they decide, well, they might as well just go back home. And they easily find their way back. There's no confusion for them about where they've been. And they come to the back porch, and their parents come rushing out the back door, exasperated at first, relieved at first. So there is an embrace, there's excitement. They're lifting the girls up and giving them kisses. Mom might even be crying because it's been 7-8 hours with two young girls, 3 or 4 and 5, say around that age. And so everything's going well at this point. The girls are still whole little beings in and of themselves. And then the parents get angry. Then the frustration comes out about, where did you go? And it goes towards the older sister, because she was supposed to be in charge. She was supposed to know better. She's the responsible one. And so the story goes. And before you know it, she's in tears. She's been put in timeout, that whole thing. And now we have an experience of soul loss, in that she has learned that it's not okay to go out and play. It's not okay to lose track of time, that she needs to be responsible. This is part. And her parents are all acting within their total right here. I mean, really, they're looking out for the children's best interest. They love them. They're well-meaning parents. And they have their own things going on. Yes, they were embarrassed because sometimes at night they wonder if they really are good enough parents. And this had them in front of the whole community, in front of a bunch of strangers, not looking like the best parents. So it's absolutely understandable where they came from, and they didn't, not abusive or out of line or anything along those lines. But still, the little girl doesn't have the capacity to understand where they're coming from. And so she takes it as an assault against her. And the part of her that is empowered to be brave and go out venturing into the woods and lose track of time, all of those things, there's part of her soul that has that ability to express that. And that's the part that splits off in the shamanic perspective. Splits off into a number of places depending on what your perspective is. In the shamanic perspective, it splits off and goes into the spirit realms, in the spirit world. And that's why she no longer has access to it. If you're looking at it from a psychological perspective, splits off into the unconscious or into the shadow. And I think it's quite fun, go that way, I just love knowing the 7 properties of play, so I kind of wove this into here. Dr. Stuart Brown wrote a book, Play, How It Shapes the Brain, and he defined through his research these 7 properties of play. It's apparently purposeless, it's voluntary, it has inherent attraction, so we're drawn to it. It has a freedom from time, diminished consciousness of self, so you're not worried about what other people think about you. Improvisational potential, so it has a lot of opportunity for trying new things out of the blue. and then a continuation desire, something that makes you want to keep doing it more and more. So when we look at this list and we look at what parts of properties of play she may have lost access to, the second one, that play is voluntary. Now she's learned she needs to ask. When she's going out to play, her parents say, next time you go, you need to ask, and you need to make sure it's okay. You can't just leave. So now it's become more of a responsibility and something that she has to, pay attention to. She can't just say, oh, I'm ready to go play today. Also, freedom from time, definitely learned that one. Her parents said, do you know how long you were out there? And now she's going to be paying attention. So she's always going to be wanting to go back and check back in with her parents. And pretty soon learn how to use a watch. And then continuation desire. She's definitely lost access to the desire to continue on with play because of her parents saying, you need to make sure that you're not out there too long and you have responsibilities and you were supposed to look out for your little sister, all of those kind of things. So every time she's out there doing any kind of play now, she's not really going to continue because of what she saw the end result to be. All the other things, probably not so lost around that. So being purposeless, nobody said, well, you were doing the wrong thing, or you didn't have a purpose in your play. Nobody said that to her. Other people definitely have loss around that, and that they just can't do artwork just for fun. They feel like they need to have artwork with a purpose. They need to make money doing it. Inherent attraction, that may be muted or gone away, but there's nobody scolded her for wanting to play because they understand that's what kids want to do. Her parents understood that. Diminished consciousness of self. There was nobody there while she was playing criticizing her, but that is a common place for a lot of people for so loss. Pretty much everyone. We're all concerned about humiliation, essentially. It's a core wounding in the human experience. But at that time, in this instance, not something, her parents weren't there telling her she was doing it wrong. And then improvisational potential. They were making stuff up all day and no one was criticizing her, or she didn't have anything go wrong because of that. So it's kind of fun to point out exactly where she lost her power in that experience.